Man can't remember where he parked, let the story commence. Craig was walking back to his motor at the car park after he came out of a shopping centre. And he was like, motor's been knocked. Motor's been stolen. That's it. It's happened. Motor's been knocked. That's it. It's been knocked. It's been stolen. It's been knocked. Right there. That's it. It's happened. And then he went, no, wait a minute. It was, no. It was next to a red motor. I remember because I was thinking, oh, you should never buy a red motor because when you go around to selling it, it's harder to sell a red motor than it is to sell, say, a black motor. It's, black's nice and neutral. That's it. Nobody's got an opinion. Black's fairly safe. Red is red. Yellow is yellow. Green is green. Blue is blue. Black. Can't argue with that. There's my motor. Space. At least so I thought. There's a motor next to it. That motor is not red. He thought. Ah, but the motor that was red might have left and this other one came back. No, but I remember there was a motor that looked like a taxi next to his motor, and that was still there. It looked like a Hackney sort of taxi, but it wasn't. It was kind of like a Hummer sort of thing. It was like one of the big sort of American style motors, and it looked kind of American, like a Chrysler or something like that. He remembered, no. His motor was definitely here. Just then, where the parking space was, where he thought his motor was, a portal opened up, like in his space. A portal. You know, like all twinkly and, you know, things like that. And his motor came up through the portal, and then the portal shut, and that was it. His motor was back. And he was like, oh, I couldn't remember where it was. I couldn't remember where it was. And now it turns out I have remembered. Because he had doubts, that means he couldn't remember. So that's fulfilled. That is fulfilled. Right? Right. What was that? Now, his motor was back for this portal. And he got in it, and it was exact same, but something was weird about his motor. He was driving it about, and people were looking, as he was driving about, people were looking at his motor. And it's like, why are they staring at my motor? And he stopped right in the motorway. Cunts were like fucking flying past him, beeping their horn. But he had to check. And he got out, and he looked at his motor, and it all looked fine. It all looked fine. He checked the tyres. He gave the tyres a kick. And they were fine. He looked at his tyres, which were floating about that much above the ground, and he gave them a kick, and they were fine. They seemed all inflated. It wasn't anything like that. And he checked his windies. Is it a mirror? Is it the... Right, and he got back in his motor, and he started driving again. And he thought, what was that there? What was that there? What was that just happened? He kept driving. He thought something. Was that about to? He wasn't sure if he was about to maybe put a song on, using his phone, which you're not allowed today, by the way. Something's no. What just happened there? What was that? And it was only when he got back, people were staring at when he got off the motorway, and people were still staring. And he stopped his motor outside a shop. And he looked at his motor again. He's like, what the fuck was that again? He had a look at his motor, and the tyres were fine. And the window was fine. The mirrors were fine. The lights, people, a wee Wayne walked by and went, oh, look, Mammy. Look at that motor. He's like, what is it? He was looking underneath it. Is there something underneath? And he could go all the way under it, all the way under the tyres and everything. And he was like, wait a fucking minute. And he came back out under his motor, and he looked at his motor, and he realised it was floating. It was floating. So as it came back for this portal, whatever it was, either wherever it was had an effect on the motor, or it was actually had been worked on in this other dimension or something to make it a floating motor. And he drove all the way back to the portal and he put his motor where, in that car park space where the portal was, and he waited, and eventually the portal opened up and the motor went down and he jumped in. And he jumped in and it was a garage. Like, no garage as in like a 24-hour garage for petrol and last minute flowers and Easter eggs at half price because it's the day after Easter. No, that kind of garage. But actual mechanics. But it was a wizard. Pointy hat, purple, wearing purple. And all that. Stars on it, yellow stars on the hat and all that. And a staff. And long white beard. And he said, what's going on here? And the wizard went, "You're not permitted to be in here. What are you?" He said, "That's my motor." He said, "I've been finished with it. Toot the sweet." Did you know that's the correct way to say it? It's not toot sweet. It's toot the sweet. You see? Yes. And Craig went, "Sorry, I didn't give you permission to do this. What's going on here?" And the wizard explained to him it was a kind of interdimensional sort of garage that people do all that and they send their stuff. Some people send horses and they get the horse back and it's able to fly. That's where Pegasus comes from and things like that. And he said, "I didn't give permission." And the wizard went like that, "I got some compensation for you then." And gave, because there was a mix up. He gave him a magic bean. Looked like a what would you call him? One of the ones that sort of like it looks kind of a bit bent in the middle. A bean, like a one of the kidney bean. And he took it back, and the portal didn't open again. Right? That was just a mix up. And he went to his back garden and his wife went like, "What's that?" He said, "It's nothing." She said, "Have you been up to your old tricks again? Your old schemes?" He went, "No. Remember, it's a fantasy. And he put the bean in the back garden. Next day, nothing happened. The day after that, nothing happened. It was raining and everything, nothing happened. And his wife went, "Ah ha ha ha. You've went and got something and it didn't work. You're stupid. I knew it." And he went like, "Oh, you shut up, you." But that night, something happened. And when they woke up the next day, they looked out their window. They were above the clouds. For underneath their house, and actually took up the whole like neighbourhood actually. Half the neighbourhood. There's a thingy. Corkscrew says this is shite. It isn't shite. Listen to this. It was what should we call it? You probably think I'm going to say a beanstalk. No. It was a waterfall in reverse. Scooshing water up that was making the whole thing float. Right, you wouldn't get that in real life. Aye, a geyser. Geyser.
Geyser.
Ah! Yous fucking told me I was wrong. It's a fucking geyser.
Geyser.
Geyser. Geyser. Geyser.
Geyser.
It's Americans that say geyser.
Geyser.
So I was fucking right. I said geyser on here once and you fucking said I was wrong. It was a kind of, it wasn't a geyser, it was a waterfall. Anyway, to get to the fucking point here, Mary, Craig's wife, gave him such a ticking off. And all the neighbours came round and they were, she said it was him that did it. It was him! And all the neighbours were like chucking fucking bricks through the window and all that. Then, to conclude this tale, something really weird happened. A dragon came out of nowhere, and on it were 3 wee guys. And the 3 wee guys, burnt. It's not the worst improv yet. Is that right? It's the worst improv, is that right? Sam Gerrard, is the worst improv. Aye. It's improv. E at the end is improve. Florist dragon out of nowhere landed right next to Craig's house. They got off and chopped off the dragon's head because they'd stolen the dragon. It wasn't their dragon. They chopped off the dragon's head for a laugh. And then they proceeded to kick absolute fuck out of Craig. And they chucked him off the land, which is up in the air above the clouds, and he fell. And where he fell, he landed on a number of innocent people and crushed them. And the 3 wee guys are laughing like fuck. And the funny thing is, they were laughing next to the beheaded head of the dragon, and it acted as a kind of megaphone. Because they were like laughing next to the kind of the back of the head through the throat. A megaphone, and also blew fire and burnt everybody up there. And they were on fire and they were all jumping off and all that. And then see that wizard fella? He came out of nowhere like that. Bow! And then that's the end of the story, the end. So that was fantasy. That as requested, that genre there was fantasy, as requested by the initial person with the idea. So it's not really my style. It's not my style, but they're over the moon with that story. It's not really my. It's a wee bit too incoherent.